Hello there everyone and welcome back to a Terraria Modding Masterclass. In this lesson we're going to be covering pets and mounts. So, if you've played Terraria you know what pets are. They're kind of these things that follow you around, don't really do anything, just there to kind of keep you company, I guess. There are some that have special abilities that allow you to do stuff, some that provide light, these are called light pets, and some that are just there. And then we also have mounts. Mounts are things you can ride. The most common being the minecart. It counts as a mount, even though you can't mount it in the world. Well, you kind of can, but need rails and stuff. Or for example, the slime you can get when you defeat the Slime King, and that gives you the slime saddle, which is a mount. So the first thing I'm going to go over is the pet itself. There are 3 classes you'll need. One is the item, one is the buff, and one is the projectile. Oh, I have also zoomed in to hopefully allow you to see the code a bit better. I've also changed the layout of the video so you're only seeing the code, so it's a lot easier for you to see. So let's start with the pet item. The things that I'm doing here is just cloning an already existing pet, so we just get their item defaults. In this case, I've cloned the pet data for the one that came in the Dungeon Defenders update. So we're cloning that, but we're changing the shoot to shoot the TMMC pet projectile, which just occurred to me I have spelled wrong, and then given the buff type of TMMC pet buff. And then use style we have if player who am I equals the main player and player.item time equals 0, then we add the item buff. Sorry, why is that time? That should be type. Item buff type the player. I promise I have tested this and it does work, just I'm an idiot. So simple enough to create the pet. These are all that matter, so you can do anything else, just clone defaults if you want to. And then you got the use style here, which will provide the buff. If you did what I did and have this set or wrong, if you right click on the item, it'll go into the pets thing and it will cause the pet to appear anyway. So I'm kind of glad that I noticed these now. It should work fine. So if we go over to the buff itself, in this case we're doing main.buff no time display of the type, and we set that to true. And because this is a vanity pet, we do main.vanity pet type equals true. So in the update method we've got player.buff time, which we set to one to quite a while. I can't be bothered to work out how many minutes that is off the top of my head. I cannot tell you. That is that divided by 60 equals how many minutes you have. Then we do player.getModPlayer, TMMC player. I'll cover this in a moment. and then we do dot tmmc pet equals true because we're setting a variable inside our mod player, then it's true. All pet projectile not spawned equals player dot owned projectile counts, then we get in the mod projectile is less than or equal to 0. So we need to make sure that we don't already have a pet existing. So if pet projectile not spawned and player dot who am I equals main dot my player, so this is just making sure that you are the player that is summoning this or and doesn't already have one spawned. Then we create the projectile. Projectile.new projectile at position X plus the width divided by 2, player Y plus height divided by 2. Then we got 0, 0 because the velocity is handled elsewhere. The projectile type, and then 0, 0. Owner is the player, then the others are 0. That's all you need for the buff. Then in the projectile, we're handling some animations. So let's open up the projectile image. I'm sorry that it's this horrible background. Fortunately, I don't know how to get rid of it. I don't tend to use I'll just use a black background for now. Just hide it. So here we have the pet. We have 4 frames, each the same size, and it will cycle through these. As it's 4, that is what we're saying it in here. Main dot bodge frames of projectile type equals 4. And we're also setting the projectile to be a pet, so main dot bodge pet equals projectile equals true. Then we are cloning the projectile defaults this time. So projectile dot clone defaults projectile ID, and we're cloning the same one. AI type, you can change this to anything you want, but I've set it to the same even though it's already set. So we're going to be having that. If you have cloned an existing projectile, such as the pet, well, any pet projectile, any mount, etc., etc., you want to override the pre-AI method. Get the player class to do this. You do player equals main.player of the projectile owner. Then you'll be setting their flag to false. So in this case, player.pet flag dd2 gato equals false. That way we haven't got that set if we try to summon one. And then we return true. In the AI, we're again getting player equals main.player projectile owner. Then we're getting our modded player, tmmc player, mod player equals player.get mod player, tmmc player. If our player is dead, then we want to set our mod player.tmmc pet false. Then in mod player, well, ytmmc pet is set to true. We're keeping the projectile time left to 2. So as soon as the projectile is as soon as the player has died and this is set to false, this will start counting down and will disappear in 2 frames. Let's open up the tmmc player. What we're doing here is extending the mod player class, and we have a public boolean tmmc pet. You'll need this to be public, or you can do a private full pet, then make a public getter setter. That's how you do that. Keep it public to make life easier for yourself. And then on our reset effects, which you override, we want to set TMMC pet equal to false. This is basically the player default values, I guess, which is called anytime the player dies or something in particular happens. That's all you need to do for a pet. It's pretty simple. We'll be coming back to the TMMC player in the future, and we're also going to be adding some more TMMC stuff like mod world in the future. But for now, that's the pet projectiles and buffs done. Let's go over to the mount. So we've got the mount item, the mount itself, and the buff. So let's go over the item. We're just setting some defaults like usual, but what's important is the item.mount type equals mod.mount type and then the name of our class. That is literally all you need. You need to make sure that you have a use style, use animation, use time if you are going to use the item. But you're going to right click it and press the mount button, and that'll be the way you tend to have the mount. So let's go over to the buff, which you'll notice isn't actually applied in the item itself. So again, we're doing main.buff no time display equals true. Then in the update, we got player.mount.setMount equals our mod mount type. Send it to the player. Then we set in the buff time to 10 frames. So once we're off the mount or we die, the buff time is set to 10 frames. That decreases and disappears after that. But while we're on the mount, this always remains at 10. Player.armor effect draw shadow. This will just be if you want to draw the armor shadow effect. This is something that you can do if the player is wet. And because ours is a slime kind of one, I've tried to mimic the slime man that already exists in the game. Wet slime, if player velocity.y is greater than 2f, then we're multiplying that by 0.9, minusing 1f. Otherwise, if it's less than 0.5f, we're setting it to minus 0.5f. And if we can control jump, then we are setting the velocity y equal to minus 20. You'll see that when I show you the mod. Here we're getting the player's hitbox, offsetting it slightly. Then we are inflating it, so making the box bigger. Then what we're doing is doing a for loop, getting the NPC at the index of the for loop. Then if the NPC is active and not equal to don't take damage, not friendly, and immune to player who am I is equal to 0, then we get the hitbox of the enemy or the NPC. We check if it intersects with check damage NPC. NPC.no-tile-glide, collision.can hit. We set in those values. Bar damage equals 20 times player.melee damage. Bar knockback equals 5. Bar direction equals player.direction. Setting these. And then we're dealing damage to the enemy with npc.strike NPC. And then we're just sending some data through in case of multiplayer and stuff. Then npc.immune of the player.whoami equals 10. You set the velocity to -20, so we're doing the same thing we do in the water where we'll launch up. Player.immune equals true, and then we're breaking out of the loop. So of course you can change this to do whatever you want. If you don't want to deal any damage to NPCs, you don't have this. If you don't want it to make you launch in the air when you're wet, you jump, then you don't want this. Let's head over to the mount itself. So we're using a new type, so I suggest creating this in a mounts folder. So you got tmmc.mounts as the namespace. Public class tmmc mount. We are overriding set defaults. Now there are quite a few things that you'll be modifying in here, and it may look a bit overwhelming to begin with, and it was for me the first time I did this, but it's completely understandable. So when we spawn in, we want to spawn a dust, and in this case I'm just doing the dust type that we created in the past. We're setting the buff with mount data.buff equals the buff type. Mount data.height boost. So this is the vertical axis when you are on the mount. Main data.full damage equals 0.2f. The lower this number, the less damage you take. Mount data.run speed is how fast the mount moves. Dash speed when the mount dashes, that's how fast that will go. How long the mount is in the air for mount data.flight time max. Set this to 0 if you don't want it to be able to fly. Play around with this value. I've not really used this value before, so it's going to be a bit of trial and error. This mount data.fatigue max, I'm not 100% sure on this, so I'll write in the comments what it does when I work out what it does or remember what it does. Jump height. How high can the mount jump? Acceleration, how quick the mount gets up to speed. Jump speed, I've set this to 4. I'm actually going to increase this to be about 9.5. Mount data.block extra jumps equals false. I believe if this is true, it prevents you from having more than one jump or something like that. Can constantly jump. I believe this means if you're holding down the space bar, you'll keep jumping, whereas you need to keep tapping the space bar when you're not on a mount to jump. Like the pet projectile, we're setting the frames. In this case, mount data.total frames equals 4. Let me open up the mount so you can see what it looks like. As you can see, it's just a recolored of the slime mount. 4 frames. So what we're doing here is creating an offset int array of the total number of frames, 4, and we're setting this to 20. This would be the x offset of the y offset of the player. And then because we're moving up and down while on this mount, like this is the level we're at, but at different frames will be at different heights. So by offset 1 and offset 3, I've either +2 or -2 from 20, so it'll be 18 on this one, 22 on this one. Then mount data.player y offsets equals this array that we created. X offset is it does what it says, the offset on the X. Mount data.body frame equals 3. So if we're counting the frames, this is 0, 1, 2, 3. Y offset, self-explanatory. Mount data.player head offset, so I believe this is the offset in the map itself. And then here comes a bit that can be a bit confusing, the states. So what we got here is mount data stand in frame count, stand in frame delay, and stand in frame start. So let's start with the frame start. Our 0. Again, this is frame 0. Our frame count is 1, which will only be this one here. This will be the one when standing idle. And then the frame delay, this is pretty much how many frames need to pass before changing. For the running, we got a frame count of 4. That's all of them, every single one of these. It'll change every 12 frames, and our start frame is 0, the top one. We don't have a flying state, so we set all this to 0. When in air, basically if you're jumping, this is the frame that's going to be in the air. So we're starting at frame 1, which is this one. And there's only one frame that's only going to show this frame. And even though it's not changed, we set it to 12 anyway. Just keep it consistent. Idle, pretty much the same as standing, but I'm not 100% sure when this is used, so we just set all this to 0. Idle frame loop, if you want it to loop, then you set this to true, otherwise false. And if there's swimming data, then you do that, but we're setting this to 0. Now there are 4 texture layers. There's the back, which is what we got here. There's a front, there's a back extra, and a front extra. I've set front extra, front, back extra to null. But in some cases you may want something to be in front of the player, in which case you do mount data.front texture equals whatever. These are all texture you can apply, so back extra will be something a bit further in the back. The best example of multiple textured mounts is the drill containment unit, as there are multiple parts to that. And then we're setting the mount data texture width and height equal to our back texture width and height. The naming convention is your class name, then underscore, back for back, front for front, back extra for back extra, I believe, front extra for front extra. I'm not 100% sure on those last two, but we'll get to that if there's ever an issue. Finally, you can make the mount kind of have its own AI when you're riding the mount. In this case, I've made it shoot a projectile every 60 frames. So outside of the method, I've created a private integer called delay, because this will act as a timer. We're incrementing delay every time this is called. And once delay is greater than or equal to 60, we reset the delay. Then if net mode is not equal to 1, we're creating a projectile at the center X, center Y plus 12. Then we're taking in the player's velocity.x, and then we do -6, it's going straight up. And we're creating our projectile, and so on. So let's launch Terraria. Okay, so let's open up our world. This is actually the second time I'm having to record this, because in my new video scenes I didn't have a Terraria game open, so yeah, now we do. So I'm going to zoom in. So here are our 2 items, our TMMC pet and our mount. As you can see, I already have the pet out because, as I said, second time recording this. So if you swing the item, you can see the pet appears. It just follows us around. You can see the animations going away. It's kind of psychedelic in a way. I also have the Gato egg here. See that if I do that and do that, we got them both out at the same time, and they're moving around. And of course you can hide the visibility if you so want. And you can see here that the buff is available here and here. Let's divide our mount, which R is the key. As you can see, we're moving around, and the projectiles are being shot at the X velocity, going upwards as well. There was a slime over here. There was a slime over here. There's one down there, but it won't really show off the effect that happens. You can see that we just jump up and we kill the slime. And again, here you can see when we're in the water, just bouncing up and down. But if I press space, we shoot up in the air. I can also hold down space and we keep jumping like so. And it's showing off the effect of our mount quite well. If I zoom in, you'll notice that we are moving up and down based on the offset that we provided. You'll want to play around with the offset values, just because you might look a bit off. Like this character kind of looks a bit off, but it might be alright. So just keep playing around with the values. But yeah, that's going to do it for Pets and Mods. Pets and Mods? Pets and Mounts, sorry. So if you have found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers, and that's all thanks to you lot. If you have enjoyed, leave a like as well. We do have a Discord available. Link is in the description. If you need modding help, we have a channel all for that. If you want to show off your mod, it's all there for you. I'll also be posting some interesting updates on there. So be sure to join the Discord. Until next time, thank you for watching and goodbye.